them believe. Living up together in a vibes. We make isolate this connive. Me tell them, poor people big they live it up a strive. Tell them so that there are some of them they live it up a strive. Hey, who all up eyes to see you here? Who all up the vibes to hear you here? People don't know how to keep out the people care. They know why they are aware. Really, I should not even they talk. Whoa, this really feels so slow. Still too bitter than the no so no. Man, as a command sense, you know, parafido. Don't steer you, can you carry the gossip. Nice as them, suspect them at the Diablo. Nothing in that trouble but me celebrate. Little shop of lamp for you feeling arrow. Money exercise and type of video. How come in them out them must have one thing? Dance house got over and tell us to not show. Bad mind and speed professor, yo. Neither ye lend, neither ye borrow. Keep it with the willing hands.
You're now in tune. On the one, the force itself. At this time, we call it the Master Blaster Jamming. I am your brother, the Rastafari. I told Ayman I, for the Underground News Network. Georgia scientists say the sample smelled like auto repair shop. They took 78 cores of sediment and only 5 had live worms in them. Usually they would all have life. A graveyard for microfauna. There's dead animals on the bottom and it stinks to high heavens. The Deepwater Horizon event, the Gulf oil spill. There are large fish washing up on the shores of Louisiana. We are discussing here the 9 signs of the Hopi Prophecy. As we witness the 7th sign, we are entering the 7th day of the ancient Maya galactic underworld. This is the 7th sign of the ancient Hopi prophecies. Unlike many who speak on the subject, I was blessed to visit my late brother Thomas Banyanka, Hopi elder, who was chosen by the Hopi Elder Council to go and deliver the Hopi prophecies to the United Nations. We spoke in private in the year 1992, in the summer of 1992, as he was having a meeting with his Hopi brothers from China. I spoke with the elder, so I know for a fact that the Hopi, especially the young ones, are not dealing with the ancient prophecies. The only person that was dealing with the prophecies at that time was the elder Thomas Banyanka, and we compared notes and we talked about the crop circles and the meaning of the crop circles, as he was working for the government at the time doing research comparing the crop circles with the Hopi symbols. You're now in tune. On the one, the force itself. By this time we call it the Master Blaster Jamming. Let's look at the 6th prophecy of the 6th sign, the 7th sign of the ancient Hopi prophecies, as we deal with the entering the 7th day, November the 2nd. There are 9 Hopi prophecies corresponding with the 9 levels of ancient Maya pyramid, or the 9 underworlds. This is the 7th sign. You will hear of the sea turning black and many living things dying because of it. We're in that prophecy right now, the 7th prophecy of the 9 prophecies of the ancient Hopi prophecies. Note that these prophecies don't necessarily have to come in order, but we will look over these prophecies. This is the first sign. We are told of the coming. This is dedicated to the Hopi elder, the late Hopi elder White Feather, and the elder Thomas Banyaka. This is the first sign. We are told of the coming of the white-skinned men like Pohana, but not living like Pohana. Men who took the land that was not theirs, and the men who struck their enemies with thunder. So you're talking about the western expansion. The first prophecy dealt with the whites coming over and taking the land and expanding, conquering the native lands of America. This is a second sign. Our lands will see the coming of spinning wheels filled with voices. In his youth, White Feather said, "My father saw this prophecy come true with his eyes." The white men bringing their families in wagons across the prairies. This is when the white man is fixing to build the great empire of America before the inception of chattel slavery. You are now in tune. On the one, the force itself, at this time we call it the Master Blaster Jamming. I am your brother on the one, the Rastafari, Aital Ayman I. This is a third sign. A strange beast like a buffalo, but with great long horns, will overrun the land in large numbers. These White Feather saw with his eyes the coming of the white man's cattle. This is a fourth sign. The land will be crossed by snakes of iron. These are the trains, the locomotives, and the many tracks that they use to move their people across the land and their cargo, their supplies, etc. Note that America is advancing along with the 9 stages of the galactic underworld. They have trains. They are advancing. We're going to move on to the 5th sign. The land, says White Feather, shall be crisscrossed by a giant spider web. Now the electrical system, the telegram poles, the telegram communications is coming in. So we see evolution in the 5th sign. This is a 6th sign. The land shall be crisscrossed with rivers of stone that make pictures in the sun. Rivers of stone that make pictures in the sun. The highway system, paving roads, changing the natural vibration of the land. You are now in tune. On the one, the force itself, at this time we call it the Master Blaster Jamming. Now, after the 6th sign, as we have explained to you, we're going over again the 7th sign. You will hear of the sea turning black and many living things dying because of it. Deepwater Horizon event 2010, the Gulf oil spill in Mexico. That's the 7th sign. Notice it's not happening in any kind of order. As we move into the 8th sign, you will see many youth who wear their hair long like my people come and join the tribal nations to learn of their wisdom. Now we go back into the 60s, in retrospect, the 60s and the 70s, the flower children, the whites, the children of the first settlers. You see the hippies getting into the wisdom. Now, we also see now, as the Hopi Prophecies say, the Four Corners area will be the safe area when we get to the 7th sign and to the 9th sign. Arizona, the Four Corners area, would be a safe haven for the people of the world to come to. So along with us, note the Rastafari also have long hair. Many youth that wear their hair long, people that wear their hair long, the Rastafari. So I have a lot of white students who are joining me and supporting me to travel to the Four Corners area. So this prophecy is being fulfilled twice. You are now in tune. On the one, the force itself, at this time, we call it the Master Blaster Jamming. Because remember, the Hopi and the indigenous people, many of them are not maintaining their old traditions. Many of the powwows now are dropping it like it's hot in their sacred dances. They're being influenced by the hip hop culture. So the Rastafari leads the way. This, as I said, that sign happened in the 60s, and now we're preparing everybody to move to the Arizona area. The whites are joining the Rastafari. Now we move into the last sign. The 9th sign, the last sign you will hear of a dwelling place in the heavens. This is the last sign actually being fulfilled now. As you know, all over the world now, in New York the other day, they saw strange lights in the sky, and in Texas we saw strange lights in the sky. We have heard of UFOs and all this kind of thing. So the 9th sign says, and this is the last sign before the world will reel and rock like a drunken man, like when they crucified Jesus the character on the cross on the hill of Golgotha. And it is written, before one jot of the word of the Lord fell, heaven and earth will reel and rock like a drunken man. In the year 2000, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Saturn, and Jupiter aligned with the earth for the first time in 6,000 years. Chunk of ice 120 miles long broke off the Ross ice shelf. The poles did start shifting, like Richard Newman said as he recorded the mathematical code on the walls of the Great Pyramid in his great works 552,000 Ice to Ultimate Disaster. It took 12 years for that pole shift to start in the year 2000 to culminate in the year 2012. And this is the 9th sign. You will hear of the dwelling place in the heavens. The dwelling place in the heavens is Nibiru, above the earth, that shall fall with a great crash. Now, this has two levels of meanings. They're talking about bolides, meteorites, and all this kind of thing. It doesn't necessarily have to happen exactly the way the prophecy says. You have to read into it and understand. Just like the Bible is allegory, metaphors, and similes, and every noun has a deeper level of meaning. Let me show you a deeper level of meaning. For instance, the word Moses means he who was drawn out of the water. The Egyptian woman placed him on his mother placed him on the water. The Egyptian woman drew him out of the water. It was written depicting his name, that on a higher level he became celibate. He stilled the water of life. Okay, it will appear as a blue star. We're talking about Nibiru. Very soon after this, the ceremonies of the people will cease. There will be no more need for rhetoric. So we go to the so-called black nationalist movements, all the black speakers with the rhetoric. It's time to lead the people to safety. So we hear a lot of this black power, black power. It's time out for that. That happened in the 60s. That's in the past, happened in the 70s. So we see Angela Davis now working in the system. We see everybody working in the system. So it's now time to prepare the people for safety. If you're not doing that, people, don't follow anybody that's not doing that. You are now in tune. On the one, the force itself, at this time we call it the Master Blaster.